Hello, good morning everyone. How is everyone doing? If you're catching me live, say hi in the comments, don't be shy. If you're catching a replay, again, say hi in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I would love to know how you're doing, how your weekend has been. And yesterday I didn't have much to say. I've been feeling kind of overwhelmed and I've been poorly organized and there's been a lot. When you put too much on your plate. And so, I would just needed to have a breath. And today I woke up inspired and I came up with a plan and I organized myself. And so, today we have a lot to talk about. So, and also another thing, for the past couple of, for 2 weeks, I've been talking about human design, and as I'm continuing to talk about different topics, which they come together nicely, neatly, you'll see, if you stick around. And I'm gonna weave it in because it's a really, really useful tool for us and for our healing and for our inner child. So, here's the thing. All of my life, I've been observing incredible women who kept choosing the wrong partners, wrong friends, and allowed their family and the society dictate their lives. And I'm one of them. I'm in the process of deconditioning myself from the limiting beliefs and from the pressures that have been put on me. And there are a lot of us out there, right? So today I want to talk to you about the 7 signs for you where you might be settling in any relationship, and why your brilliant mind might actually be working against your heart. So, like I said earlier, I've also been talking about human design for the past 2 weeks, and so I will weave it in as well. So here are the 7 signs. Sign number 1, you're making excuses for basic respect. I mean, just the first one, I remember it so vividly. Man, if you find yourself saying he's just not good with words when he never acknowledges your feelings, or she's just stressed when they consistently dismiss your needs, that is settling. When you keep trying to find excuses for their behavior, oh yeah, they just have, the work is so stressful and they don't have the time, and they're very this and they're very that, and so I totally understand why they wouldn't have time to hang out with me, or they wouldn't have time to reply to my messages, or they wouldn't have time for whatever, right? And oh yeah, he had such a bad childhood and he's been through so much, so I understand why he would ... right? And so we do that. I can see it with myself. We do that. And so here, your human design authority, it knows the difference between someone having a bad day and someone who doesn't honor your worth. So again, human design is all about connecting to your body, learning about your blueprint, how energy works within your body. And so then, because you know that this is you and this is how your energy works, you can check in with yourself if this person is good for you or not. All you need to do is just tune into your body, and human design helps you do that. And it helps you with reparenting your inner child and making your inner child feel safe, because when you start listening to your body, which human design teaches you and helps you do that, when you start listening to your body, you're basically listening to your inner child, to her distress or anxiety or fear or whatever it is. You're tuned into your body, and so you listen. Now, sign number 2. You're grateful for the bare minimum. When a simple text back feels like a victory, when showing up on time feels like a gift, when basic consideration feels overwhelmingly good, you're accepting the bare minimum. And I know when I'm like talking to you about this, I feel, I mean, I've been there, done that. So let me know in the comments if this is you as well. And so smart women often rationalize this as being understanding, right? This is what I've been talking about earlier. But your inner child deserves the full deal, right? So we're being so freaking understanding all the time. Oh yeah, but you know, I understand why he would do that. I understand why he would behave like that. I understand why he would mistreat me like that. He was also this and he was also that. So I totally understand, you know, why. No. You can understand. We can understand why they're behaving the way they do, and at the same time, we can not accept that. We cannot tolerate that. We can move away from that. We can set boundaries. We can be like, hey, this hurt my feelings, and so if this continues happening, right, I'm gonna have to take a step back. And that's not to hurt them, it's to protect yourself, right? And so this is something that nobody taught me, for example, that is an option. I can take care of myself. I can say, hey, this is not good for me. My entire nervous system, my body is like freaking out. I need to step away, right? So there's always the option of stepping away. Now, sign number 3, your body says no, but your mind says yes. So this is a very big one. Hi, Susan. Super happy to have you here. How are you? How have you been? Let me know. So, sign number 3, your body says no, but your mind says yes. So it's a big one. Your stomach tightens when they call, and you call it butterflies or excitement. Your shoulders tense during conversations, and you just, I don't know, you don't even notice, because we're so disconnected from our bodies that we don't even notice. And our nervous system is screaming, but our logical mind is creating a pros and cons list. Our logical mind, it's conditioned, and it's been so used to gaslighting itself, right? So we're like, they're telling you, oh, you're just overreacting. Why are you so sensitive? And then we're the ones that start gaslighting ourselves, like, oh, I should just be more understanding. Why am I making such a big deal out of it? Why am I so upset about this? I shouldn't be so upset about it. It's not a big deal. When it is, your body's telling you it's a fucking big deal, right? And then we start minimizing our experience, because that's what we've been conditioned. So, our bodies never lie. They are our most accurate compass, and Human Design Authority teaches us how to listen to our inner compass better, right? Now, sign number 4. You're dimming your light to make them comfortable. You stop talking about your dreams, your successes, your passions, because it makes them uncomfortable and insecure. Because they don't have big dreams, they don't have passions, they don't have, you know, goals in life, because they're still looking for themselves. They're feeling lost. And so when you talk about your ambitions, it makes them feel bad about themselves. And so we then shrink ourselves, because we want to accommodate them. We want to make them feel better about themselves, versus challenging them and getting them to step up. If we do that, well, if it's a healthy partner, I didn't know this before, right? But if it's a healthy partner, they're gonna step up. They're gonna do something about it. They're gonna want to make themselves better. They're gonna want to be better. But if it's not an aligned partner, they're gonna get defensive. They're gonna step away. They're gonna stonewall you. They're gonna, whatever it is, right? They're gonna find a way to numb themselves and to, I don't know, to cope, right, with being challenged. And so when we're shrinking, to fit into someone else's small world. We're settling for less than our magnificent self deserves. Now, sign number 5. You're doing all the emotional labor. You're the one initiating deep conversations, planning meaningful experiences, remembering important dates, and managing the emotional temperature of the relationship. You're constantly on the go. You're constantly thinking, okay, so how can we do? How do we do? And then you're planning the meals, and then you're I don't know, you're making the grocery lists, and then you have to almost beg them to to start the car and get you to the groceries, or maybe you have to do it alone. And then you cook, and then you plan, like, what do I want to cook today? What do I want to prepare for them, right? And then nothing. Like, they're just so tired from the work, and then they go, I don't know, drink with their friends and lay on the couch and watch TV, and you're like, I want to do something. Well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. And so if you don't know, then nothing happens, right? And so, anyway, that is not a partnership. It's a job. A relationship is a two-way street. And I didn't know any of this. Any of it. And yet, I've done it all. And I'm betting I'm not the only one. Now, sign 6, you justify their inconsistency. So, they have the hot and cold behavior, and that becomes mysterious and exciting. Mixed messages become, they're just figuring things out. Inconsistency becomes passionate and unpredictable. And when I say this, I'm thinking this is the family dynamics that we are, we've been used to from our childhood home, right? And so that is then what our brain is looking for, because it's familiar. It's painful, but it's familiar. And so when it comes to intimate relationships, then that is what we're settling for. And our nervous system, our body, it's out of whack, right? Because that's familiar. But it doesn't feel good, but it feels normal, because that's our normal. So you see how it's very important for us to go into our bodies and start listening to our bodies, which human design helps with, right? Listening to our bodies, which is basically listening to our inner child. And she is telling us, hey, I feel anxiety, I feel fear, I feel this, I feel that, I feel disrespected, blah, blah, blah. So that then us as adults, we can step up and we can be like, hey, you are being like, you're hurting my feelings, right? This is not okay. How can we fix this? How can we work on this? What needs to change? I feel hurt by your behavior. So how can we change that? And again, before I had no idea that is a conversation that I could have with a partner, with a healthy partner, right? And so, and I did have, oh my God, now I remember as I'm saying all of these things, I remember I was trying to have these conversations again and again and again and again, and it didn't help. And I was trying to explain myself, and, you know, and in so many different ways. I was almost drawing, you know, like a picture for them to understand, and they didn't. They just did not understand. And I was crying. Oh my God, I was crying all the time. I was in this relationship for 1 year and more than a year and a half, so less than 2 years. And I feel like for half of that time, I was crying all the time. Like every single day, I would cry myself to sleep. There were moments when it was all good. So there was this build up, crying. We had this conversation then, and he would kind of give up or something. And then for a few days it would be like different, the way I asked it to be, or the way I would feel more safe, or whatever it was. And then it would go back to how it was, because there was no real initiative on his side to change. And I was trying to change him. Probably. Right? but then I was always communicating my feelings as this is not working, like I'm feeling this way, right? And then I was always sensitive and overreacting and this and that, and so then at some point you start going crazy because you start thinking maybe I am going crazy, like I'm the one that's crying all the time and being so emotional and blah blah blah, and women are so emotional, and right? And then there was also this thing, he kept saying like, don't, what we have between us two is not for other people, so it doesn't make sense for you to talk about these things with other people outside of our relationship. I get that. At the same time, we need to talk about it. We need to talk, especially when you're not when you're feeling the way you are. You know what I'm talking about. When your whole nervous system is completely dysregulated and your body is like, it's tense all the time, and you're anxious and you're overthinking and you can't sleep and you're constantly thinking about this one thing and you just want to cry all the time. That's your body completely dysregulated, right? So you need to talk to someone. If you have a friend you can trust, if you have someone, anyone that you feel in your body again, you feel that you can trust them, talk to them. Just talk. Because I didn't know. If I wouldn't talk about what was going on in that relationship, I remember I was at the university and I had this one classmate, and we went out, and I don't know how it got to this conversation, and I told her like everything. I started small, and then at some point I just like it opened up for me, and then I told all of it, and she was like, "Girl, you need to dump his ass. Like this is not," and like just to be clear, it takes two to tango, right? So this was a very unhealthy dynamic, and it wasn't just his fault. I mean, his fault. There's no fault here. There's no fault here. It's just, it was a trauma bond, and the interests were not like I was in that relationship, if I'm being honest with you and with myself, because I didn't want to be alone. I just wanted to have someone. I wanted someone to save me, and save me from myself, from my own inner chaos. And of course he didn't, and he was in that relationship. He would have left a long time ago, and I would too, if I'm being honest, because that was very intense, like so much crying and so much misalignment. But he stayed because he was pressured by his peers, because all of his peers were already in relationships and like thinking about starting a family and stuff. And so that was his, I guess he was thinking, this is probably the best I can do, so let's just stick with it, which is a really even if I don't know, I'm not him, I don't know, but that's how in retrospect, after analyzing everything, I think that's what was going on for him. And yeah, that's not a reason to stay. And the same for like my mom. She said, because I've been having these conversations with her, why did she stay after she found out that my dad cheated on her? And she was like, I stayed for you, because I knew that children need two parents, so I stayed. And so she stayed, and she shouldn't have, and I told her that that's not a reason to stay. Children, yes, they do need both parents, and what she did after, she was trying to take one parent away from me, which makes no sense, but anyway, she did the best that she could with what she had. Children do need both parents, but not in this toxic dynamic of resentment and anger and spite, and so yeah, coming back to the relationship, it's really important for us to be honest with ourselves first, as in, what do I need and how can I fulfill those needs for myself first, so we don't go into relationships looking to get those needs filled like so that the other person can fill them. And then yeah, just work on yourself. Just listen to your body, listen to your inner child, because it's always gonna boil down to that, your inner child, and what you've learned, your beliefs from your early experiences, and your body, like the somatic work, because a lot of trauma and a lot of those experiences, they're still in our bodies, they're held in our bodies, so we need to release them. We need to work with our nervous system. We need to get ourselves mentally back into certain situations, and then work with our nervous system. For example, last week I did this thing where I have fear of confrontation, and so I confronted my boss about something, and I did this. I had a coaching session before, and the coach told me to visualize going like exactly steps. Okay, so you're getting through the door, you're going in the back, you're putting stuff in your locker, and then you're going, you visualize everything, and then you stop. Just before that moment, you stop and you take deep breaths. And breathing is one way of regulating your nervous system. Putting your hand on your heart is another way of regulating your nervous system, right? Journaling is a way of regulating. Sports is a way of regulating your nervous system. There are a lot of different ways. Art, right? And also Susan, she's watching. She's using she is working with horses, and horses, they can help you. Animals, they can help you regulate your nervous system, right? So, and trees and forests, that's also what Susan does. And so, yeah, it's always gonna, all these, life is relationships, and the way we do relationships is the way our inner child, wounded inner child, learned, if we're not working on our inner child. And when we start working on our inner child, which is through listening to ourselves, to our body, what are you telling me right now through my body? What is going on, right? And regulating our nervous system, that is when we start shifting, right? What feels right in our relationships? What feels good in our relationships versus what feels familiar? Because what feels familiar is very unhealthy, right? Because that's what our body remembers, that's what our brain remembers. So we need to start shifting that deep, deep, deep inside. So, our inner child, she deserves safety and security, and not chaos dressed up as romance. No more. Like, I said this to... Who did I say this to? Oh yeah, I had a live a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think. And I told this woman, I was like, you know what? I don't have time for trauma bonding anymore. I'm done. So, yeah. Now, the last sign number 7. You are waiting for their potential. Does it ring any bells? I know it does for me. Each and every one of these signs, it was me. It was me, really. And so you fell in love with who they could be, not who they are today. You're dating their future self, their best self, their if only they would self. But love is not a renovation project, and you are not in relationship to be their full-time life coach. I mean, yes, you support them. Yes, you provide them the safe space for them to work on themselves, but you're not the fixer, you're not the rescuer. And when I say you, I'm talking about me as well, because like I approached a lot of the situationships I was in with the mentality of, oh, I'm gonna save you, I'm gonna fix you, because if I fix you, then maybe I'm gonna be worthy, right? Because if I fix this dynamic, this dysfunctional dynamic that we have going on, it's the same dynamic that I had with my parents, and so if I fix that, my inner child is gonna feel like she's worthy now, right? And so that's what we're doing. And so yeah, and the potential, oh my god, just the stories when you start talking about the future and the plans and the this and the that, and we fall for the potential, who he could be, who he's talking about being, but then the actions don't follow. This is why it's so important. Actions over words always. And I didn't do that. I didn't listen to myself. I knew it. And yet, where were the actions? Right? I got so hooked or hung up on fixing them and saving them and supporting them and whatnot, that I didn't notice as time went by that actions didn't follow their words at all. Daily consistent actions, showing up for themselves, because that's what we want. We want the other person with whom you want to step into a relationship with, for them to put themselves first as well, just like you are. Because when you start putting yourself first and they start putting themselves first, you can build something together, because you're both growing. And then if you imagine, like, so you're investing into yourself and you're growing yourself and they're growing themselves, and when you come together, you start growing together, right? But then if they're not doing shit and you're doing all of the work, and that's another thing, when you're focusing on the other person, you're not doing the growth, right? You're just as stuck as they are, because it would be easier to fix them. And when I say you, I mean me. Right? We're all in this together, because we're trying. It's easier. The thought of fixing someone else is easier than fixing yourself, right? So that's why it's so important to start, investing in yourself. And when I say investing, I mean time, energy, focus, attention, love, self-care, money, all of it into yourself. And when you start doing that, you're gonna start attracting and peeling back the layers of conditioning, right? And reparenting your inner child. You're gonna then start attracting the opportunities and people and situations into your life that are aligned to you, right? Versus showing you where you still need healing. So basically, this is something that I have to, I'm working on myself. In the past, all of the things that happened to us, they happened to us for a reason, because all of the relationships, they were showing us where we still need healing, right? So if those relationships didn't happen, you wouldn't know. You would still be thinking that, oh no, like there's nothing wrong with me, or oh no, I just need to find the right person and then everything's gonna be okay. No, you need to fucking, take a step back and focus on yourself, girl, because this is not gonna work. And so we do it again and again and again until we finally get it. Like, you need to just stop, time out, right? Take a step back, focus on yourself, look at everything, right? Where has this got you? Nowhere. So what needs to change? You're the common denominator with all of these situationships, friendships, whatever it is, relationships. You're the common denominator. So what needs to change? What needs growth? What needs evolution? What needs reinvention? Us, right? It's always gonna boil down to us. When we say relationships, it's us. The relationship that starts with us, right? So, if you recognize yourself in any of these 7 signs, you are not alone, and there is definitely nothing wrong with you. You see, everything that I've been talking about today, I was talking about you, or I was talking to you, but I was talking about me, right? And so, hello Lauren, hi, welcome. Thank you for joining this live. And so, I'm just finishing up. You watching, you are a smart woman who's been taught to override her inner wisdom, and I want to help you get back to trusting yourself completely, right? So, in 19 days, 19, I'm hosting a free workshop called Why Smart Women Keep Choosing Wrong in Relationships and What is the Missing Piece. This is where we will unlock your human design authority, reconnect with your inner child, and teach your body to never settle again. So, after this live, come find me in my DMs and let's connect. I'll be sharing more insights like this every single day for the next 19 days, and I want to inspire you to finally start putting yourself first, right? Because when you do, you'll attract the love that matches your worth, you'll trust your intuition completely, and you'll never question your value ever again. So, if this resonates with you in any way, shape, or form, drop a heart in the comments, and or send me a message. I'll be super happy to have you there and connect with you there. I'm just gonna go through the comments. Susan, thank you so much for being here. You're currently chilling, enjoying the bank holiday. Oh, that's nice. Amazing. I hope that you're gonna rest. I understand my husband wanted to change, but for himself in the end. Beautiful. Because that's the thing. When we're changing, we want to do it for ourselves. Because otherwise it's not gonna be sustainable. And we might even grow what's it called? Resentful. Oh my god, okay. We may grow resentful towards the other person who wanted us to change, and so we changed for them, and then you're like, I did all of these things for you, and you're still not you're still so ungrateful or whatever, right? So when we change, we have to make sure that we're doing it for ourselves. Exactly, Susan. The only problem I had with talking with friends or family is judgment. Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, judgment is, it's always gonna be there. So the only way we can overcome the fear of judgment or it's just to stop giving a fuck. Right? It's just to stop caring. It's to focus on ourselves, on our why, on our intentions. It's very important for us to be very deeply connected to our intentions. So, because when we approach something with a certain intention, as in, okay, I want to reach as many people as possible with my message, because I know that this is medicine for them. And so that is my intention, and that is a very honorable intention, right? And that is also going to help you not giving. It's still going to be uncomfortable. You're still going to feel it in your body, but then you're going to do it anyway because there's a bigger reason as in why you're doing it, right? And that's, for example, that's for speaking to the crowds. Then the same thing we can do in relationships, right? Why am I looking for love right now? What is the reason? And we have to get super honest with ourselves. Why is it? Is it because I'm bored? Is it because I'm lonely? Is it because I crave connection? Is it because I don't know, whatever it is, right? But we have to get really, really honest with ourselves, so that when we do get out, we can tell or communicate to other people, like, this is why I'm doing it, right? I don't know. And so, yeah. And if you're doing it, if you're looking for love out of, I feel lonely, I feel bored, I feel this, I feel that, just ask yourself, is this something that another person should, is this something that I should expect from another person to fix, or is that my job? Right? That's a really good question. So if you're bored, if you're feeling lonely, if you're just looking for connection, just like something to distract yourself with, is that someone else's job to do for you? Or is that your job to figure out for yourself? Just some food for thought. And yeah, very brave of you to talk about it. Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you for being here. I checked all of the comments. And yeah, thank you for being here. And I will be seeing you again tomorrow. Bye.